is with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
The angel Gabriel was sent from God to a town of Galilee in Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man named Joseph of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary. And coming to her, he said, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at what was said, and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. Then the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. Behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give him the throne of David, his father. And he will rule over the house of Jacob forever. And of his kingdom there will be no end." But Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I have no relations with man?" And the angel said to her in reply, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, Elizabeth, your relative, has also conceived in her old age, and is in the 6th month, for whom was called barren, for nothing will be impossible to God." Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word." Then the angel departed from her. The Gospel of Jesus Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This past week I was watching on Netflix a really great series called The Universe. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And it talks about, the beginning of the universe. I don't know how they figured it out. It's something like, 13 billion years old, all these things that are formulating over all these years, all these times. And it was interesting as I was watching it, and they were also showing animals at different times, like with hibernation and things. And I never knew this, that Mercury and Saturn, which are the closer to the sun, that Saturn turns 5,800 hours is one revolution. So Saturn, a day on Saturn is 5,800 hours, and Mercury is 1,400 hours, and then you get into Earth is 24 hours. I think Mars is 25, and then they spin faster. So it's like I said, I never knew that they spin slower. The revolution is slower the closer they are to the sun. And you have all these things lined up, and they're perfectly turning at the exact speed all the time. And of course, then you have like the moon and the tides and how things change with the weather. It just is so unbelievably perfect and precise. And even there's something where, like, if a bear goes into hibernation, it'll stay there for a while. And then there's something with the sun, when it hits a certain peak, the sun affects the retina of the eye of the bear, signaling to the bear it's time to come out of hibernation. So it's just unbelievable, like how precise and miraculous. This is, thousands and thousands of details. So I thought about that, and I thought of this has been going on for millions, billions of years. And so here's this beautiful picture. I was down in Washington with Rachel several years ago. I got this picture of the Earth. I always love this. You think of this, here's the picture of the Earth, right? Such a beautiful, and we didn't even see this picture until 1969 when they went on the moon, And you could see that, so here we are on this Earth spinning, 1,000 miles an hour, and then going around the sun. And by the way, like, a lot of this has been here long before you ever got here. And it's going to be here when you leave, too. Right? In fact, like right now, there's people actually at a diner having breakfast right now. And we're not there. But it's still happening. And then you walk in, and it's like, Well, wait a minute, when are they going to give me a cup of coffee? This orange juice isn't really as cold as it should be. Where's my eggs? All of a sudden now, you walk into the diner, and now it becomes a different reality than the reality that's going on in the diner when you're not even there. Well, how is that? Well, that's because we're constantly making up our own reality. We're constantly interpreting and perceiving things. Like here we are here on the planet Earth, right? And you can see here's this person saying, who left the toilet seat up? Don't you know that milk goes bad when you leave it out? Go to bed, do your homework. There's Deacon Terry last week. What do you mean there's no bagels? Now I'm listening to lighten up, take it easy, don't take yourself so seriously. I get up, I inherited these 2 cats, oh my God. And I'm cleaning up and taking care of everything, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, 8 o'clock, and it takes me 50 minutes to get here. So I get in my car, and I'm ready to listen to like a little Michael Singer or something or other on my phone as I drive down here. I don't have my phone. And I have to confess, I was really angry. I was like, God, how can you not know where your phone is? It's driving me crazy. So I had to get out of my car, come back, get my phone. Now I'm really late. I think I got here like 5 minutes to 9. But I started laughing because I'm like, here I'm going to talk to everybody about lightening up, and I'm like really mad that I don't have my phone. So there I am. You see me there? He doesn't have his phone. How can he forget? But like, think about it, right? So I thought this would be an interesting perspective. It's like, you think about it. So we're all on this planet Earth. We're taking ourselves very seriously, aren't we? Every little thing, right? So what do you think about, we could talk about lightening up, to have a light heart. That song, have yourself a merry little Christmas, may your heart be light. Such a great line. How's your heart? Is it burdened and heavy? Like you ever see those, I wonder if you have like a dream. You ever have those dreams where you can't run away? Or you're like walking through Jell-O or something like that. I wonder if it's like a metaphor for we're burdened, we're laden with so many things we're letting us bother us, and then we have this dream we can't get anywhere because we're holding on to so many things. We take ourselves so seriously. What are some of the characteristics of we take ourselves too seriously, right? We take everything personally. We're easily offended. We have to be recognized. We're very defensive, reacting to things. Being able, like I was saying in the meditation, to laugh at yourself. Can you laugh at yourself? We always have this funny thing with golfing, like, I'm getting mad because I hit a bad shot or whatever. I can be very competitive. And a guy come over and put his hand on my shoulder and goes, you're not that good. You're not good enough to even get angry. And in the moment, you're sort of like, ooh, you son of a... You're like, you know what? You're disarmed. You're right. You start laughing at yourself. Like, what are you taking yourself so seriously for? What about that? Do you do that? Right? We let, and it's funny. No, not to say that being lighthearted doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you're goofy and, nothing gets your goat, but there's a matter of degree. There's caring about things. And then there's caring like too much. You know what I mean? It's like, you drop your keys in the pond and you're like, oh, there's my keys. Let me pick them up. But if you care too much, oh my God, where's my keys? And now all the sediment from the pond comes up and there's this big cloud. And now you can't even see your keys. Kind of like that. When we take things too seriously, we make it into more than it is. And if we could just relax and just allow things to be, like you're upset about something, something's bothering you, right. You know? Can you think about things that were really, really upsetting you last year? You probably can't even remember them. But in the moment, oh my God, right? How could we live our life today knowing that the things that bothered us last year, that doesn't bother us? So how can we, in the moment when there's something bothering us, let it bother us, but like lighten up, you know? Anybody who was a parent or a grandparent knows, you know, welcome to anxiety, right? Welcome to stress. So my daughter is in Philadelphia, and she, on Sunday morning, she'll take a bus. She works at a restaurant, and she'll take a bus, and I'm like picturing, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, no one is around. To me, it's just as dangerous at 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday than it is at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, you know, because there's no one around. So I do get stressed out and bothered by that. So I said to her, listen, from now on, I'm going to Uber you $10 and you can Venmo to work. And she's like, oh my God, you're so old. I was kidding with her, right? Changing Venmo and Uber around. But I figured, like, in the midst of my anxiety, I'm going to try to use a little humor in the midst of the thing, to use humor. So I want to ask you to, like, take a look at, you know, is your heart heavy? Are you burdened and weighed down by things? Do you take things seriously? You know, do you get defensive? Do you take things personally? Can you laugh at yourself? If someone teases you, do you get defensive or do you laugh at that? To be a little lighter when it comes to that. So what are some things that we could do to be more lighthearted, right? How many of you watch the news? Oh God, after a while you watch the news, it's like, yeah. So I love to watch like Seinfeld at 11 o'clock. What do you watch before you go to bed? I remember one time watching Criminal Minds. Like who's stuffed in the rafters of the ceiling. And then what? Then we're supposed to go to bed? You know, like, well, I don't even know why we even watch some of that nonsense. You know what I mean? When you think about, you know, like Eckhart Tolle would say, is like, you know, you go to like murder and war and crime and shooting and all that stuff and bombs going off. And somebody from another planet says, what is this? Oh, we call this entertainment. And we pay. We pay to go to the movies to watch this. You know what I mean? You know, they always have the aliens coming in, attacking us and sucking us dry, draining us, taking all of our energy. We never have, maybe E.T., but we don't really have a movie where there's something coming in and they're loving and benevolent and they want to help us and help us to grow. It's like that wouldn't really make the movies or something. So one thing that we could do is, do you watch comedy? Every day, watch a comedy show, something, especially before you go to bed. What do you do before you go to bed? Then there's books that we could read. You ever hear of the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff? Don't sweat the small stuff, and oh, by the way, it's all small stuff. To be lightened about that. You know, another thing too is when you look at like nature, if you could go out at night and just look up at the stars. You know, obviously our lives are important and our lives are meaningful, and yet there's also a sense of like we're on this ball turning in the middle of nowhere, going around and around. And yet there's something in our mind, our psyche, that we take ourselves very seriously, you know? I mean, imagine, now we want to have these candles are like this, but if this were like over here like that, would that drive you guys crazy?
Yes.
Why? What is that?
OCD.
Thank God doesn't have OCD. But yeah, but it is interesting, right? Where we think it's like things got to be a certain way. There was even like last week they lit the candle, the Advent wreath, and they lit this candle here first. And I was over there thinking, you really should light this one because it's 1, 2, 3. If you light this one, now you got to go back and then you got to go across. And God's like going, yeah, that's real important. So take a look at the things that we get bogged down with and we get bothered by, and it kind of like makes us live so heavy. When you think about it, it does seems I'm almost certain, right? There is some magnificent intelligence behind all of life and all of creation. It's fantastic, right? It's just beyond our comprehension. And when you look at God, this brilliant, magnificent being that loves you and knows you and has your back, can we relax in that? When things aren't going our way, when something happens that isn't the way we want it to go, I mean, okay, we're hurt and we're disappointed, but let's just relax when we look at like the bigger picture. The Buddha says all of life is suffering. Well, suffering comes from desire, the Buddha said. And what is desire? It's like my preferences, like things aren't going the way I want them to go. And that results in suffering. So in other words, everything should go the way I want it to go. That's it. And if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, I'm going to suffer. We have this preference, we have this concept in our mind that everything should go the way we want it to go. Well, what if we were to change that? What if we were to say that, like, life has been going on without us for a long time. And life is going to continue to go on when we leave our bodies. So somehow we're in this lifespan, this human experience of life. Could be 100 years, I don't know, 50 years, who knows, right? And then while we're here, life is going on, and we're in the middle of life. So we have to allow ourselves to experience life, allow life to be as if we had a choice in the matter. Here's life, the rest of your day, it's going to go the way it goes. And the key thing is, what is your response to that life? It's not what happens to us, it's our response to what happens to us. That's the thing that we have a choice in the matter. What is our expectation? Do you expect everything to go exactly the way you want it to go? We kind of do, right?
Yes.
So then when it doesn't, we're like, what the heck?
Playing God.
And yet, it's kind of crazy. We're not aligned with the very nature of life. Life is just happening. And you're in life. I mean, you're always going to be in life, but you're in this human experience. And the idea is, whatever comes in our way in our life, how are we going to respond to that? Now, I love this with Mary. She has this experience. Can you imagine? And she's like, she surrenders. Let it be done unto me according to your will. We're going to pray later on, our Father who art, thy will be done. Oftentimes it's like, thy will be done as long as it's aligned with my will. Surrender and allow life to be and recognize the responsibility, the beautiful responsibility that we have inside of us to how we're going to respond to that. Now, I think this is so important because we were talking a couple of weeks ago about God. Let's face it, right? God has to be something that we experience, right? God can't be like a belief or a concept. It's like we have the concept of love, but then what we need is we need to experience love. To know love, I need to experience being loved. That's how I know love, is by my experience of that. So in order to experience God, we have to be aligned with life, and we have to be light. We have to be opened up to the small, still, subtle voice that's constantly there in the midst of everything in life. To open up to the sacred, to look at the stars, and to be able to laugh and to lighten up. And when we do that, we're aligned with life, we're aligned with God, and in that is the experience of this divine power and intelligence and wisdom that is available to